Hey, good morning. It's great to have you in the shop with me today. If you watched the last video, you know I'm working on the Maverick, which is sort of a modern take on the surf guitar, and it's also my project for the 2021 Great Guitar Build-Off. So last time we got the board built, we got the board surfed. Now it's time to see if we can find the guitar that we hid in this board, bring it to life. Hey, Future Steve here. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up, kind of in the spirit of openness and transparency and all that. I just finished watching this video, and you should know it doesn't end quite the way you think it's going to. There is kind of a lot of talking, especially towards the end, but, well, just hang in there, all right? Now, on with the show. So the first thing I have to do is lay out the outline of the guitar body that I'm going to cut out of the board. Now remember, this is a chambered board, so it's basically hollow. But I left a chunk of solid wood in roughly the shape of the guitar body so that I can cut out a solid body out of the board. Now the key is to cut the body out from the right location on the board to be sure I hit that solid wood. I have some photos on my phone that show where the solid area is located so I can lay out my body shape in just the right spot. So I lay out the guitar template on the board as it's shown in the photo, and then I trace the outline of the body onto the board. Ultimately, I'm going to cut the body out with the jigsaw. But since the board's pretty thick and jigsaw blades are notoriously bendy, I'm taking an extra step to make sure I can cut vertically through the board. So I set up the drill press so I can set the board up there and drill holes along the outline of the guitar body to be sure they go straight vertically through the board. And then I can take the jigsaw and basically cut along the perforated line. But right here is where I realized that I don't have enough clearance on the drill press to reach all the holes, so I had to switch to the hand drill. And right here is the moment where things really start to go pear-shaped. In a few minutes, you'll see a little more clearly what's happening here, but pay close attention to this look on my face. Yeah, that's the face of a guy whose brain already knows what his heart isn't quite ready to accept yet. But right now, that's a problem for future Steve. So, grab another drill bit and get the rest of the outline drilled. And actually, it looks fine at this point. So I move on to the jigsaw to connect the dots. And now for the moment of truth. And actually, I have a pretty good idea of what's about to happen here, and I'll be honest, it's not my happiest moment. Catch that? Yeah, let's see it again. So I got my body cut out, but my problem is I had two sets of photos that showed the location of the body and the board and where the solid block of wood was. And long story short, I used the wrong set of photos. So I laid out the cutout in the wrong place, cut it out. The cutout process actually went fine, but I missed my solid block by almost 5 inches here. Now, I'm trying to figure out what to do. So, how to salvage this. I got a couple of options. I could just build it. Just build it with this weird hollow cutout here at the end. I think the mass in this body would be plenty to hold the bridge and the pickups and all of that. I think I could just put it together with this big old fat, sort of hollowish, weird body. That's not my favorite option. So another option is I've got plenty of extra of this redwood and maple. I could just glue up a new blank and make a body from scratch in the same size and mount it in the surfboard, and it would be fine. To me, the hard thing about that is I would always know that that body did not actually come out of that surfboard, and that would be hard for me. But it would get the project done, and I probably would still be able to get it done on time for the competition. The other thing that Zach is telling me I should consider is just cut this center part out, cut the solid pieces out, use the top and bottom, and just make a hollow body out of this wood so that it's the wood out of the surfboard. It would still all match. That's not what I intended to build. I don't know. Some of the contours in the body or of the top and bottom here that follow the contours of the surfboard would be hard to manage in a hollow body. But I don't know. I'm going to need to think about this for a minute and decide what to do. All right, I've made a decision and I've got a plan. What I decided to do is just embrace the stupid mistake that I made and let the project sort of take its own course. I'm going to make the guitar as it has come out of the board, as was the plan all along, right? The guitar came out of the surfboard, so I'm going to make what came out of the board. What I am going to do, though, because I don't want the guitar to be this thick, I am going to resaw this body down the middle, take some of the thickness out of it, and glue it back together thickness-wise. Finish these edges a little bit. I do have solid wood up here at the front to mount the neck to, the pickups to mount into. The bridge goes a little farther back here. I may need to add some support in there for the bridge, since that's where the strings will be connected to the body. But this is pretty thick. I think it's probably going to be okay. We'll see how it turns out when we get there. But yeah, at this point, I'm just going to charge forward and finish the project. Build the guitar that has decided what it wants to be. So the salvage operation starts by sanding all the perforation marks out of the body so I can get a smooth edge. And then I work on getting some of the bulk out of the center. Now, had I cut a solid blank from the surfboard, I would have been able to take the whole thing down to a proper thickness, include all the right contours and all those kinds of things. But working with what I've got, I need to keep the top and bottom surfaces as they are and take the bulk out of the middle to get a reasonable thickness for the board. So I mount each side to a sled, run them through the drum sander to get them down to the right thickness, and to give myself a good glue surface to stick them back together. While I let the glue cure on the body, I break out the rasps and sandpaper to get the perforation marks out of the other edge, so I have nice smooth edges on the cutout to go with my smooth edges on the body. So here's where we're at. Body's cut out, and it's weird. It's got this opening at the end, and I'm still not entirely sure what I'm going to do with that. But I have decided that I'm just going to run with it. And I tried to think of something deep and philosophical to say about how you just go with what life gives you. The best I could come up with was you surf the wave that the ocean gives you, or you go get back in your car. And that was dumb, but now I've said it out loud and I can't take it back. But the body's cut out, and the cutout is cut out, and the body fits in the cutout, and it's cool. It's kind of just what I wanted it to be at this point. And so we're heading in a good direction, even though the body has that weird opening on the end. So next step is to start thinking about a neck. I need to make a neck and put it in a neck pocket so I can figure out what the position of the nut in relation to the body is, so I can then place the pickups and I can place the bridge and we can move in that direction. So that's the next thing I'm going to do, and then once I get the neck done I can figure out what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to cut some relief into the board for the neck to sit in. We'll see. So yeah, that's the next step. I'm going to start working on the neck. So I start by cutting down a nice piece of maple to rough dimensions for a headless bolt-on neck. Good Lord, Steve, don't you think it's about time to change that bandsaw blade? And then down to rough thickness. And some quick swipes with the plane to get to the final dimension. I pulled out some bird's eye maple for the fretboard, cut it to shape, and then glued in some mahogany stripes so the fretboard will echo the design on the surfboard. A little glue up jig helps get all the pieces aligned and held in place. And once the glue is dry, the drum sander does a great job of getting things smooth and square, and the board gets glued onto the neck. So I've reached that point in the video where it's time to have an honest conversation. And really, I guess what it's time to do is tell you about the conversation that I've been having with myself for the last several days, ever since I realized that I cut the body out of the wrong position on the surfboard. I came out this morning to pull the neck out of the clamps that I had glued up yesterday, and I had this, what the hell am I doing moment, where, I had to sort of acknowledge to myself that this is not a project that's going to get done. The philosophy that the difference between an amateur and a professional is not that professionals don't make mistakes, but professionals know how to fix the mistakes that they make. And so I've been telling myself for a while, wow, this is a pretty big mistake, but fix it, right? Make it right. Don't throw out the project because of one mistake. But it turns out, man, this is a huge mistake. And as I have worked with this and tried to rectify the issue, the conclusion that I've come to, especially kind of between yesterday and today, is this is just never going to be a guitar worth finishing. I sort of asked myself, when this is done, if I do everything as best as I can from here on out, and I fix this as best as I can think of to fix it, is this a guitar that I would want? Is this a guitar that I would want someone else to have? And the answer is no. It's just not. It's just not. So it's time to pull the plug on this one. And it means I'm not gonna have a guitar for Great Guitar Build-Off this year, which sucks. It also means I'm not gonna have this surf guitar to donate for the Bro-Am charity auction, which also sucks. But I wouldn't feel good about this guitar for either of those things. I mean, it's just not where it needs to be, and it's not gonna get there. And the worst part of it is, honestly, and this is the hardest part for me, such a stupid mistake. I'm gonna play back some video here because I can identify the moment on the video when I'm getting ready, I'm marking out where I'm gonna cut out the guitar, I'm getting ready to drill the holes, to make a path to cut it out. And I'm looking on my phone, I'm looking at the photos, and I have some photos of a template sitting on the board, referencing where the block is in the board so that I can cut it out. And then I have another photo that has some measurements where I wrote the measurements on the board of how far the block is from the tail and from the edge. And I looked at those photos and I thought, I'm going to use this picture of the template on the board because it'll be super easy to reference exactly where the neck ends in relation to, you know, some specific sort of benchmarks or landmarks kind of on the board, and I can see exactly where it's going to go and get it in exactly the right place. And as I did that, I had this thought, and I went, I should probably double check that against the measurements that I wrote down. And I even thought, this specific phrase went through my head, and I can remember exactly, specifically this phrase went through my head. Measure twice, cut once, right? And then immediately following that, I thought, no, the template is in the right place. Like, that will be fine. And I never do that, right? I always measure it again. And I didn't, and I just feel like such an idiot for doing that. And it makes this whole decision so much harder. If I could fix it, then I could write that off, right? Yeah, it was a dumb mistake, but it wasn't so bad that I couldn't fix it. And I fixed it, and look how great it is. But I can't. This is not a thing I can fix. And it's not gonna be great. And if I finish it, I'm gonna spend a lot of time and use some good hardware and electronics on a guitar that sucks because of this. Because of this. Anyway, so that's the news. This is the end of my Great Guitar Build-Off project. And that sucks. And I apologize to all of you guys and men and women, whoever you are, that have followed me and that wanted to see this project complete. If you did that, if you have followed me on Instagram or YouTube in the last several weeks because you wanted to see this project come to fruition, here's what I'll ask you. Hang with me. I'm still gonna do this. I'm still gonna build a surf guitar. I'm gonna make a guitar out of a surfboard. It's not gonna be done in time for a guitar build-off. I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna use the things that I learned, right? So I learned some things building the board, some things about process that'll make it easier next time, but even about board shaping. So on this board, I tried to build in, some extra buoyancy on the tail of the board to make sure that it would you know, hold weight and whatever. I don't even know why I did it. But the tail is way too fat. The rear end's too thick. Can I say that? Probably shouldn't. So next time the board will be in better shape. And I've already started drawing up some plans. I'm gonna make a 7-foot board instead of a 6-foot board. It'll make it a little easier for me and my son to surf because we're not the greatest surfers. A little bigger board is helpful for us. The other thing I'm gonna do is next time around, I'm gonna build 2 boards, right? I'm gonna build 2 boards that are sort of sisters to each other that use the same design. One of them will have the guitar cut out of it and the other one will remain a surfboard, so that as part of this package, there's still a surfboard that can be surfed. The most disappointing thing for both Zach and I after we surfed this board for a day was that we wouldn't get to do that again. And it was so cool to take it out in the water. So next time I'm gonna make 2, and there'll be a second board that will stay a surfboard and can go out in the water. And then the one will have the guitar cut out of it. And I'm going to do a better job of identifying where the block is in the board so I don't have any risk of missing the block when I cut the body out. And there's some other things, some different tools I think that will make the process easier for me that I'm going to get hold of. So yeah, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to redo it, but I'm not going to finish this. And again, I'm so sorry for those of you who wanted to see this get completed for the guitar build off. I really wanted to. I really tried to make it work, but it just isn't going to come together. I got some other interesting things coming up. I'm doing a rescue project for a guy building out a mandocello. If you've never seen a mandocello, they're super cool. That's going to be sort of my next project. I got to get that done for him, and then I'm going to move back into the surf guitar. I've also got some full electroacoustic guitars that I'm going to build, similar to the electroacoustic ukuleles that I built a while back. So yeah, some exciting stuff. I hope you hang with me. Thank you for those of you who have watched and followed along so far. And as always, get out there, do what you love, and hopefully I'll see you next time. And let the project be what the project is going to be. That sounds terrible. Sounds like I've given up. Okay. Let the wood tell you what it wants to do. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You surf the wave that the ocean gives you, or you go get back in your car. And that was dumb.